The best of the best. Right across Australia, the best of the John Laws Week.
Another John Laws Week on the radio. You listen to the man with the golden microphone. You got it all. There were laughs, there was news, and a tear or two. There were good vibrations coming right through to you. Through your radio. This is what he said, this is what he did, this is why you laughed, this is why you cried, this is how Lawsy kept you in the know. It happened this week on the John Laws Morning Show.
I've got to tell you the story that really bothered me over the weekend. This Patrick Power, with hundreds of photos and videos of child porn on his computer, simply cannot be a man of good character, because good character and looking at children being degraded are just not compatible. So I imagine you'd be as angry as I am to see so many people saying that he's of good character, and you would be as angry as I am to see the list of people who I would have thought would think differently. I mean, among the list of referees saying that this fella Patrick Power is a good bloke as opposed to the grub you and I think he is, find so many people whose high profile in the law. What should we presume about their attitude to child porn and the sort of people who look at it? Retired Judge Roderick Pick Ma thinks Patrick Power is a good bloke. Now, if he thinks somebody who looks at child porn is a good bloke, then I don't know that he's much of a judge of anything, is he? Don't you think he reduces the respect of all judges by signing up for this fella Patrick Power? You know, it's a grubby business. The lawyers and the judges and the teachers who wrote character references for this bloke, I think, owe the public some kind of explanation. It makes you wonder what Mr. Ma's attitude might have been had he ever had a paedophile in front of him in a court of law.
This is the best of the Lawsy Week.
But he says some funny things, this George W. Bush, doesn't he? In a speech on Wednesday to a construction industry trade group, he explained his veto of a Democratic bill that included an Iraq troop withdrawal timetable by saying, the question is, who ought to make that decision, the Congress or the commanders? And as you know, my position is clear. I'm the commander guy. He says some funny things, doesn't he? I'm the commander dude. I told you earlier about the death of a 27-year-old off-duty police officer who fell to his death from a second-floor unit in Surrey Hills. It's believed the officer had never fully recovered from attending a job where a woman threw herself under a train. 14 serving or former officers have committed suicide in the past 7 years, and that's 14 too many, but I don't know what we do. New South Wales Police Commissioner Ken Moroney has reminded us that officers are not made of concrete, and of course, they're not made of concrete. Tough job to be a police officer, and they need the support base behind them, something to make them realise that they don't have to cope on their own, but I don't know how we do that. Bob Pritchard is the president of the New South Wales Police Association.
We've got some programs in place that are certainly helpful to police out there, but they need to be broadened so that all police have access to them.
What sort of facilities are available to them now?
Well, we've implemented programs for some of the specialist squads where they deal with horrific type crimes, where they are checked on regularly to ensure that everything's going okay. And I think it can only help all police officers that if this program can be broadened out so everyone has access to it.
Do police have a kind of cultural problem that they're not supposed to cry, that they're supposed to be tough?
Well, it certainly has been in the past, and I think police still believe, they go out there and we're bulletproof and nothing really hurts, but in fact it does, and we deal with horrific type incidents every day, and even if one particular incident doesn't affect you, it will add up, and sometimes it gets on top of you, and we need programs to be able to be treated.
It's a tragedy when you hear of these young people taking their own lives, though, isn't it?
Oh, it's a terrible thing, and it's terrible for their police family, but more especially their own families. It's a tragic time, and we feel for them.
I'm sure you do. Bob, thanks for your time. Good to talk to you.
Thanks very much, John.
It happened this week on the John Laws Morning Show.
The hardline Islamic government of Iran is becoming even stricter than it has been in the past. Amateur porn films have been apparently booming in Iran, spurred by the release of a private sex tape showing a popular Iranian actress and her partner in scenes of sex. Now, Monday, the Parliament's Culture Committee approved a bill that would sentence people to death for producing pornography, which is anything deemed to be vulgar by the Iranian censors. Ironically, the next day, the Iranian president was accused by the media of public indecency after he hugged his elderly former school teacher and kissed her hand. The government has now released an approved tape of the actress and her partner being beheaded. The Treasurer of Australia, Peter Costello. Treasurer, good morning.
Good morning, John. Great to be with you.
Good to be with you. Are you a happy Treasurer this morning?
Well, I think the budget that we brought down last night is a very, very powerful statement of investment for the future, and it will lift the capacity of the Australian economy, and it will allow us to lock in the benefits and the gains that we've made over recent years. And so I'm very optimistic about the future of Australia. I think we can rise to the challenges, and I think this budget will be a big part of that.
The hard-headed economists also seem to be a bit worried that you're going to throw more money around leading into the election. Will you need to toss any more around?
Look, I think the important thing is we keep the budget in surplus, that we make sure that that surplus is a decent surplus. It's about 1% of the economy. That's a decent surplus, and that's the kind of bottom line that I think is responsible in current circumstances.
Yeah, I think you might have missed the question. Are you going to be throwing any more money around prior to the election?
I don't know that you're properly interpreting my answer.
I don't know that you're properly interpreting my question. So are you or aren't you?
We're two old stages, John. We're used to each other in these interviews.
You know, I got all this on tape. I'm going to play it back prior to
Yes, I do. As I said, you come at people from a disarming angle, John.
You're listening to the best of the Lawsy Week.
Okay, hopefully we have Kevin Rudd on the line. Are you there, Opposition Leader?
I am, Mr. Laws. How are you?
Very well, Kevin. You mightn't like to admit, but I think Peter Costello struck a perfect balance between good policy and good politics. I mean, tax cuts prior to the election, big handouts to the elderly, to families, to apprentices. They're all good things. You wouldn't want to change those, would you?
Most people would give it the tick, as they've done today. But in terms of the future test, what happens to Australia once the mining boom is over, and have we made preparations for our kids?
Well, of course, that's finally going to be up to the voters of Australia, isn't it?
It will be very much, and this is a marathon, and John, I expect that we'll take a pounding in the opinion polls as a result of this budget. There's still a few months to go before this election, but
True.
He'll get a surge in the polls, and I dare say I won't.
Good to talk to you, Kevin. I appreciate your time.
This is how Lawsy kept you in the know. It happened this week on the John Laws Morning Show. Australia.
New South Wales Police have been given the green light to crack down on motorcycle gangs. Thank God. The move comes after a string of shootings, arson attacks, serious assaults. Many of these incidents, police believe, were kind of payback attacks, and the potential for ongoing escalating violence apparently is just enormous. The New South Wales Police Commissioner Ken Moroney is on the line.
We've seen a series of more serious incidents here in the metropolitan area over the last couple of weekends. And whilst the investigations are continuing, what I've announced today is the creation of Strike Force Ranmore, and it will operate under the control of Detective Superintendent Scott White, who's one of our experienced senior commanders, who's currently the commander of the gang squad. And we will draw together what I call a multi-agency approach of various groups within the New South Wales Police Force. I won't hesitate to use the authorities of the Australian Crime Commission and the New South Wales Crime Commission and a range of other state agencies as we quite deliberately and focus on these groups, John.
So if you're a member of the Nomads or the Comancheros or the Bandidos or the Rebels or whatever it might be, you just better watch your step and behave properly.
Well, to use the phrase of one of my recently retired colleagues, expect us when you least expect us.
Yeah, a good way to put it, Ken.
This is the best of the Lawsy Week.
A fella called George Smith, 82-year-old Georgie Smith. He was shopping in a little village store in a place called Speldhurst in Britain when a thug entered and pointed a shotgun at the postmistress and demanded all the money. And old George, 82 years old, he's a World War II vet, he grabbed a head of iceberg lettuce and belted the bloke in the face with it. And then he grabbed a second lettuce and he hit him with that one too, and the robber ran away. Police are still looking for the robber, but old George was the hero. Hit him in the face twice, well, with 2 separate iceberg lettuce. Very clever, George. Brave man. I imagine they call him the the Titanic Bandit. No, he was hit by an iceberg. I'm sorry about that.
Another John Laws week on the radio. You listen to the man with the golden microphone. You got it all. There were laughs, there was news, and a tear or two. There were good vibrations coming right through to